The SOLEC, standing, one leg, eyes closed. The reason people fall in crowds is they can't see the ground. You should easily be able to stand on one leg for 20 seconds. Your benchmark should, I don't have to put my other foot on the ground. Our dynamic balance test is just to put our socks and shoes on while standing on one leg.
So Dr. Kelly, I want to know about the balance testing. As we mentioned, we deeply covered mobility and flexibility. There is a third component which is really underrated and really important as you age, and also for a generalized functional fitness, which is called balance. So I want to know how you evaluate balance.
You know, ideally, again, I'm going to ask you, how are you challenging your balance in play? If you're out there playing, chances are you're on one leg, you're balancing, you're hopping, you're skipping. Probably your balance system is being challenged. We have found that introducing, even in our elite athletes, some balance games, standing on a slack line. We have a little thing called a slack block, which is a little mini balance beam on a piece of foam. We put that in someone's kitchen, especially as we get older. Sometimes we don't get to play and jump as much as we like, so we introduce these fake games. But one of the things that we see is, like your hip range of motion, oftentimes what happens is your balance changes and you don't know it until it's too late. And so we can wait until everyone falls and breaks a hip and then say, oh, let's go to balance class. Or we can keep an eye on our balance, because this balance system tells us a lot about the health of the nervous system, health of the vestibular system, and certainly it's easier to train than we think. So simply, the two tests that we use are clinically, well, one of them is really well validated, and that's the SOLEC, standing, one leg, eyes closed. And normally, the reason people fall in crowds is they can't see the ground. The reason they fall in snowstorms is they can't see the ground. The reason our elderly fall at night is they can no longer see the ground because it's dark. A lot of times what happens is that because we don't challenge our vestibular system, again, muscles and tissues are like obedient dogs, often what happens is that those systems decay or attenuate or get turned down, and then we end up relying more on our eyes and our vestibular system, or our eyes or visual aspects of our vestibular system, to create our balance environment. And so when we start to change that, or we take that away from people, we can really see how well the rest of the systems work. So standing on one leg, if you struggle with your eyes open, that's a great place to start. You should easily be able to stand on one leg for 20 seconds. And a lot of people will struggle. And what's nice is that we can just count 20 seconds. How many times did you put your foot down? That's your score. And it's a well-validated clinical test. Well, it turns out the SOLEC, standing one leg, eyes closed, you should be able to do that same test with your eyes closed, and your benchmark should be, I don't have to put my other foot on the ground while I'm doing that test. And what you'll see is that the average person is going to struggle because they don't engage in enough activity that forces them to work on that balance. And again, if I come back to yoga, you're going to spend a lot of time standing on one leg in yoga class. Why is that, do you think? It's because some very smart people, very long time ago, found out that when we make people stand on one leg, they are better in their environments. The system has to work. The brain has to work. Again, the brain is a problem-solving machine. Let's give it a problem to solve. In this situation, standing on one leg. So let's get you standing on one leg more. And then one of our dynamic balance tests is just to put our socks and shoes on while standing on one leg.
That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one, yeah.
And the reason that's really good is dynamic. You have to bend over and pick up your sock. You have to bend over and pick up your shoe while you're standing on one leg. But you can do it practicing every day, because you're probably going to put a shoe on, or even a slipper. So even if you're wearing slippers or sandals, you can still hinge over, pick the sandal up, and while standing, put it on your foot, and you're still going to have the stimulus. But we're looking at behaviors that we can sort of weave into people's lives so that they don't have to do it. Look, I don't want you to go to balance class. I want you to go to your dance class. I want you to go to your weightlifting class. I want you to go to a running club. I want you to go play cricket. I don't want you to not play a sport, right? I want you to use your body, but it's certainly easier to stand on one leg and brush your teeth.
And what are the implications for improving the balance? If someone is not able to hold till 20 seconds, as you mentioned, then what are the other interventions he can do so that he can improve the SOLEC test? And as well as, if someone who is not able to put on socks on one leg, then what are the other things he can do so that he has the ability to do the same?
Well, what's nice is, I know you've set me up for this question, but what's nice is we don't need a complex intervention. We just need you to practice the thing. So while you're waiting in line, go ahead and stand on one leg. And you don't have to close your eyes and be the guy in line with his eyes closed standing on one leg. Stand on one leg and slowly turn your head and look at your neighbor. And you'll see that you're probably going to fall. And then you just put your foot down. So I want you to obsess. And the reason we obsess is that when we see better balance, we actually see stronger feet. We see stronger connection to the ground. And so we actually see working on balance as a performance enhancing behavior that really does upregulate and change the function of the athletes we're working with.
दोस्तों ये वीडियो अगर आपको वैल्यूएबल लगा तो इसे लाइक कर अपने सारे दोस्तों से इसे शेयर कीजिएगा। इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब तो आप कर ही लेंगे। चलिए मिलते हैं।